All living organisms begin from a single cell. This cell, the egg, divides and therefore multiplies. While multiplying, the embryonic cells are specializing. Some will become neurons, others blood cells, resulting in more than 100 different types of cells. So from undifferentiated cells, we get specialized cells. The undifferentiated cells are called stem cells because they give rise to so many others. Either all those that exist when referring to the very first embryonic cell, or a mere dozen when the stem cell comes from the already differentiated tissue of a fetus, for example. Stem cells are also present in adult organisms. They are responsible for regenerating our skin and bones. In general, they're only able to differentiate into very limited types of cells. The therapeutic use of such stem cells could be marvelous. Instead of a graft, for example, it would be enough to transplant stem cells, which would then replace those that were missing or deficient. If, on top of that, the genomes of those cells were to be replaced by those of the patient, any risk of rejection would be avoided. Some people are already dreaming of cell banks, or even banks of organs cultivated in vitro, realizing the dream of spare parts for humans. We haven't reached this stage yet, but research is underway, providing massive scope for ethical debate.
The stem cells raise different sorts of ethical problems, and they have to do with the source of the stem cells, the methods used in research, and the purpose of the research. And as to the sources, there are mainly three types of stem cells, as you know: adult, fetal, and embryonic. And of course, embryonic stem cells raise the most difficult problems when it comes to the source, because the embryo has a potential to develop into a human being under certain conditions. And of course, quantitative aspects are important here too. I mean, if we sacrifice a potential human life and derive stem cells, which, as you know, can be cultured and copied indefinitely and could save hundreds and thousands of human lives, people suffering from incurable diseases, that would certainly be a good thing. And of course, there is a large collection of embryos in deep freezers. What happens when the time in the freezer has elapsed? What do you do with them? I mean, in a way, the alternative seems to be you destroy them after doing research, or you destroy them after not doing research. This is an issue that needs more discussion. But of course, also adult stem cells and fetal stem cells raise ethical issues. They can be sorted under the heading procurement, processing, use, and access. I mean, issues like information, consent, confidentiality, fairness come up. And there are some ethical issues that remain to be discussed. For example, the tension between anonymity and traceability. If something goes wrong, you need to trace the donor. But that is difficult to combine with the idea that the donor should be anonymous. Variations in legislation reflect the different moral and religious views that people have. For example, in Germany, Austria, and Ireland, there is a very restrictive legislation, different from the one in UK or Sweden. And in some countries, there is no legislation. But some of these countries have signed and ratified the Council of Europe Convention on Human Rights and Biomedicine, which contains some articles relevant for research on embryos. I think that's true of Portugal and Greece.
Faced with a wide range of opinion, and in order to avoid conflict which might block research, European ethical committees are presenting their points of view. They're allowing the European Union to set the parameters for the research it wishes to finance. Procedures will have to be established and all research made available to ethical evaluation.
On the very controversial topic of stem cells, we managed to write a report which was unanimous. And then what we advise depends on the issue. And we discussed some of the controversial issues and had some comments on them. For example, therapeutic cloning or somatic cell nuclear transfer. The technique needs to be perfected. There are alternatives, and clinical applications are very distant. We stress the need of safety and security in transplantation, and we call for a European registry. And certainly stem cell research is a very hot area now. Lots of money is invested, and of course people believe that this may change the picture. I think it's very important not to promise too much too soon, because if you promise too much too soon in order to get research money, there will be frustration, disappointment, and a backlash. So I would say it's in the interest of the researchers to be honest about what has been achieved, what can be achieved, how long time it will take, how much it will cost, and that sort of thing. There are many good reasons to believe that something will come out, but when it will come out and how long time it will take is very hard to tell. If there is a breakthrough in research and successful clinical application, that will certainly change the debate. Because then, of course, then patients will want to have the treatment, and politicians will find it hard to resist them.